Well, MGTOW brothers, it's now been a full year since these pro-feminist news outlets has dropped this hit piece. And by the end of the day, they accomplished nothing. Don't worry, I'll explain it. I'll explain why too. But a full year has gone by, and guess what happened? The Secret Service and Homeland Security, in the attempt in their attempt to try to stop the manosphere, incels, and all other male groups on social media has failed. So now they are helplessly reliant on Plan B. What is Plan B, you say? We'll talk about that later on in the video. But nevertheless, it's me again. They hate me, that's why they give a fuck about me at the same time. As always, JD Miles. The MGTOWs they love to hate. Even the ones that claim everybody loves to hate them, loves to hate MGTOW at the same time. As always, and I'm back again. Man, I feel sorry for all of those retarded fucks who were kissing the asses of the Secret Service and Homeland Security, thinking that they was going to stop the manosphere and all other male groups on social media. But where did their attempt go wrong? And how come these pro-feminist and far-left libtard news outlets has now ran to Plan B? I'll explain it to you. Now, for those of y'all who don't know, you have pro-feminist news outlets such as CBS and other far-left libtard news outlets that were sitting here making a big deal about how the Secret Service and Homeland Security was going to shut down the manosphere. In fact, you should have seen all the haters riding on the coattails. However, there was one problem right from out the jump. The fact that they would sit there and call them extremists and terrorists, all because only a few act out of pocket, that right there was it. That right there set it their path. And what happened? What happened ever since ever since these news outlets dropped this article? Let's let's take that time period all the way up from here to now. After this news outlet dropped, there have been even more mass shootings. From the Buffalo mass shooter to the New York subway mass shooter, Uvalde, Atlanta, the Christian school out in Nashville, even the attempted shooting out in Loveland Airport in Dallas Fort Worth. Attempted, I said. However, there were no links to any of those mass shooters having any involvement with the manosphere, incels, and whatnot. In fact, what's even more comical, nobody's listened to these retarded fuck ass haters throwing out their conspiracy theories. And rightfully so. So basically, all those faces of MGTOW and all that other bullshit, they ain't trying to hear it. They know these retarded fucks is pushing out conspiracy theories and propaganda to try to fit their narratives. I feel sorry for Claire Harris and anyone who's like her. I say one of the one of the many one of the many mass shooters they tried to make a big deal out of is Frank James, the New York subway mass shooter. And notice how hard they tried to put him in the red pill group. And for what? Oh, that's right. Frank James listens to Kevin Samuels. But there's one problem with that. These retards thinking that just because they listen to a certain content creator, that automatically means that they're part of it. That's false. For that matter, look at all these retarded fucks who hate on MGTOW. Got all this shit to say, but guess what? These are the same MGTOW haters who watches our content. Okay, for that matter, if these MGTOW haters hate MGTOW so much, but they stay tuned into but they stay watching MGTOW content. But wait, doesn't that make them MGTOW? Does it sound familiar? So by that same logic, our haters who hate on MGTOW but watches MGTOW, they're part of MGTOW. See how fucking retarded that logic is, that argument is? So no, just because Frank James watches Kevin Samuels videos doesn't mean that he's red pill or manosphere. In fact, here's what destroyed the argument altogether. Yeah, Frank James listened to Kevin Samuels, but did Kevin Samuels ever encourage Frank James to go out and commit violence? No, he did not. No, he did not. Or encourage anyone to go out in the real world and do any harm to anybody. No, he did not. What's even more ironic is that the New York subway mass shooter exposed a whole lot of bad actors. Who are these bad actors? These conspiracy theorists? These fear-mongering propagandists? All they ass has been exposed to a point where nobody's trying to listen to what they got to say. Especially if these same retarded fucks are the opposition. I've been said this shit. And even to this day, they still crying and crying, thinking that everybody's gonna listen to them. No, they're not. This is the reason why what Frank James did didn't bring down the manosphere or any other male space, because there's no connection. Despite even to this very day, they still crying and bitching about it. And they're still not getting what they want. But that's just one Amazon Prime example. All these mass shooters, the 4th of July mass shooting, they also try to make him be part of the manosphere. That failed. Then here's the part where it becomes most intriguing. You have some claiming that, they only doing this because these incels, and this goes to the incel category. For the incels, we only doing this because these incels need mental help. They need therapy. And as a therapist myself, I ask the hard questions. And one thing I did refute was the fact that Most of these retarded fucks in there claiming that incels need therapy and seek mental help, they're more of a roadblock than they are concerned about these men's well-being. Basically, they pretending like they care when they don't. What's more, you have veteran therapists. I mean, I'm talking about therapists that's way beyond me, coming out and telling these fools that, listen, y'all solution to curb and stop the incels, it is not working. And yes, I had supporters on and off YouTube who was telling me why their plan ain't working. Because as a therapist, one of the things you must learn as a therapist is what keeps people from going to therapy. And there are 12 reasons why people do not seek therapy. But all I need is one, especially in this situation like this. The number one reason why incels are not going to therapy, the number one reason, stigmatization. Now, in general, there is a stigma attached to mental health issues in many societies, which can make people feel ashamed or embarrassed to seek help. Now I'll read again. Stigmatization. There is still a stigma attached to mental health issues in many societies, which can make people feel ashamed or embarrassed to seek help. And guess what? Incels fall in that category. And yes, this is as much as they will sit there and try to cap their way believing that, oh, all these incels are seeking mental help, that's a fucking lie. Because if there were incels going out seeking mental help and seeking therapists, and guess what? The numbers would be falling. Instead, during that time period, we see the exact opposite. More men becoming incels than they are becoming less. And the stigmatization ain't helping it one bit. This is what I mean when I say the same people who trying to encourage incels to go seek therapy and mental help are more of a roadblock than they are a solution. Oh, that's a great idea right there. Let's shame these incels. Let's shame the incels. Demonize these incels. Criminalize these incels. Do all this shit under the book. Yeah, that'll make these incels go out and seek mental help and seek therapy. As a therapist, all I can say is that's full of shit. And rather, the shit that they were doing had an opposite effect. Instead of the incels going out and seek therapy in huge numbers, instead they got forced into hiding. And let's be upfront and real, the incels are afraid to seek therapy now. They're afraid to seek mental help now because if they go to these therapists, these psychiatrists, they fear they come out as being incel, they're gonna get hated, they're gonna get discriminated. They're going to get demonized. They're going to get treated like a fucking criminal. And they wonder why these therapists came out saying that their solution to stop the incels is not working. Now, around this same time, as I said before, the incel community increased in large numbers. Now more men are becoming incel. And this was around the same time I did my own study. And everybody was sitting there wondering why I put incels in the same boat as the Frankenstein monster. And I'll tell you why. Just like the Frankenstein monster, the incels was created by the very same ones who despised them and now wants to get rid of them. No different than how Dr. Frankenstein did his monster. And y'all already know the story. In an attempt to prove his peers wrong that he could bring something back to life that is already dead, Dr. Frankenstein took the corpse of a dead man, brought it back to his lab, did work on him, flipped the electrical lever, and Frankenstein came to life. It's alive. It's alive. But instead of feeling cheerful, happy, and confident that his experiment worked, what did Dr. Frankenstein did? He rejected the monster he created. And it didn't matter where Dr. Frankenstein went, his monster followed him everywhere he went, everywhere he go. It was even down to a point to where his own Frankenstein monster looked up to him as a parent. Even got down to a point where Dr. Frankenstein wanted to get rid of his own creation. And I don't see nothing different. I do not see nothing different in this situation right here. The same ones who's whining, crying, bitching, and moaning about the incels, while at the same time they want to get rid of incels, are the very same ones who created them. What part of that do they don't understand? They created what they hated. And now they're trying to get rid of what they created. And as much as society wants to fear the incels, keep in mind, society itself had a hand in creating those incels. Plus more, the term incel was coined by a female, not a man. So yes, females can be incels too. Oh, I'm sorry. The correct term is femcells. And yes, they are. And yes, you got femcells all around. And what's more, after that hit piece dropped, we haven't heard anything from these feminist news outlets, the Secret Service, nor Homeland Security about any type of terrorists or what may have you in their attempt to try to shut down the manosphere in all these male spaces. I mean, look how quick they shut down QAnon. If they could do that with the quickness, then how come they having a hard time shutting down the manosphere, red pill, incels, and the rest of these other male groups? Is beyond me. But they wasn't ready for the month of August 2022. And the reason why I considered August as an important month prior to the news article dropping, get this. In the month of August, you had an attempted mass shooting, and then a few weeks later, you had another mass shooting. But there's a difference between these two and the other mass shooters. Y'all want to know the difference? Both of those incidents were perpetrated by women. You had one female going to Loveland International Airport in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, and tried to attempt a mass shooting. Luckily, law enforcement got to her and stopped her before any life was lost or any harm was done. And even to this day, I still salute them. I still salute them for stopping a threat before it happened. That was bad. That's bad enough. But 2 to 3 weeks later, you had another mass shooting. This one out in Atlanta, Georgia, same month. But in this situation, you had another female mass shooter shot up 3 places, shooting 3 men, killing 2 and wounding another. And yes, it wasn't just myself either, because I just found this out. Everybody was saying that she was a feminist. Uh-oh. And that's the reason why I named the title the way I did, and which got all these femitards completely pissed off. But wait a second. Aren't there fellow femitards going around labeling each and every mass shooter a MGTOW, manosphere, or try to connect them in? But at the moment, a female is portrayed as the shooter, and they get labeled as feminists. Those same ones want to come right back around, cry, bitch, and moan, all because of the fact that you labeled them as feminists. But isn't that the same thing that they do? They do to the other side? Yes, they do. Hypocrites. Hypocrisy number 1. Hypocrisy number 2 is the fact that you have these females going on shootings, and guess what? These media outlets were quiet. In fact, the only ones who touched on this story was the local news. You didn't hear a peep from CBS, ABC, NBC, CNN. You didn't hear nothing from none of these news outlets. They were quiet. And at that point, everybody's starting to find out that these news outlets have a fucking bias. They don't want to cover it because it ain't the stereotypical mass shooter. Oh, a disgruntled male, and what they have you. And this put all these news media outlets' credibility into question. Are they gonna cover both sides of mass shootings? Or are they gonna be one-sided? Are they gonna be biased? And apparently they gave out their answer. Then you had more mass shootings. And once again they trying so hard to pin those mass shooters as being part of the manosphere, red pill, and the other male groups. Once again, it constantly failed. New year come by. More mass shootings happen. And here's a fun fact. At this point, there have been more mass shootings under Biden's administration, more than any other president of the United States. Fun fact. And it just kept going on and on and on and on until March of this year, which is last month. You had yet another mass shooting, this time in Nashville, Tennessee. And there's a lot of controversy surrounding it. Because the mass shooter is indeed a female, but she came out as trans. And yes, everybody lost their fucking shit. And here's something that made me sick to the stomach. They'll demonize each and every other mass shooter, but because this mass shooter is a female who came out as transsexual, now all of a sudden everybody's supposed to just feel bad for the mass shooter. Fuck out of here. And once again, everybody stays quiet. In fact, we don't hear shit from the Secret Service, Homeland Security, these biased pro-feminist news outlets. They all were quiet again. And before we reach April, this month, I just got news. They now switching to Plan B. That's right. It's now a whole year. And by the looks of things, the Secret Service and Homeland Security failed to stop the manosphere and other male groups. So now they turn to Plan B. What is Plan B? Plan B is the FBI. Plan B is to get the FBI involved. Two government agencies failed to stop the manosphere. So now the FBI is trying to take a crack at it. But as I've been seeing, not only are they screwing up on their findings, but they making the same exact mistake as did Homeland Security and Secret Services. And for the record, I don't take the Federal Bureau of Investigations lightly. I take them serious. This is why I'm being cautionate about this. But here's the arguments from the FBI can actually refute. First off, the obvious elephant in the room. Their claims saying that the manosphere are nothing but a bunch of incels. That is one retarded fuck-ass cap in a desperate attempt. But what did Uncle JD said? They will try to insert incels into all other groups, not even knowing that the incels are in a group of their own. They tried to do it with MGTOW. That failed. Now they trying to do the same towards the manosphere and red pills and other male groups, even though that failed too. As I stated, incels are in a group of their own. They're their own side. They have no affiliations with any other sides. That's my first refute of the FBI. And yes, I know they're listening, and I know they're watching, and I hope they are watching. Here's a second debunk. Claiming that Based and Red Pill has some part in extremism. I say, where's their evidence? And where's the link to that claim? No, where's the link connecting Red Pill and Base with any forms of extremism? I'll wait. Oh, that's right. Once again, they're getting desperate. Just like the last government agencies, they're trying to make something out of nothing. Especially their claim about, the whole entire manosphere itself is incels. Oh, okay, Federal Bureau of Investigations, does that also include the men who were married then divorced? Does that also include the men who are fathers and have children? But last time I checked, celibate, the word celibate means virgin. Involuntarily celibate incels means a virgin who can't get any at all. Where's the scientific research in that? Oh, they still virgins even though they got married, they had sex, they have children. Come on, FBI. I thought y'all had big brains. I thought your brains were bigger than that. You're coming out the woodwork. Y'all coming out the woodwork, and your arguments is already getting refuted. And as far as I see nothing more than just a repeat of what happened the last time. But like always, I'm going to keep a close eye on this and see where this goes. And yes, I'm going to have so much fun refuting each and every claim and argument that gets thrown. But nevertheless, I said what I had to say. I'm done with this topic of discussion, and I'm out this bitch. Later.